Hi, Wayne Sumstein here. What you are about to see is a very brief video testimony about a serious injury that was suffered by my mother, Dorothy Sumstein, more than 10 years ago. But before we get into that testimony, what I have here is the official doctor's report on that injury, and I'm going to read a brief portion from that. Mrs. Sumstein has a painful hemiarthroplasty in place that was inserted in Scotland following her fracture 3 years ago. Hemiarthroplasty means that one half of her hip joint was replaced. Her plain x-rays have shown undersized prosthesis. A bone scan was obtained which shows increased lift or uptake around the prosthesis. This is objective evidence of a loose prosthesis. I have told the patient that she has two options. The first is to live with this and use walking aids, such as a cane. She can also consider a total hip replacement. This report was filed by Dr. Murray F. Robertson, MD, on May the 3rd, 2005. The medical report number is 709-7265. I understand that you had quite a miraculous healing a couple of weeks ago. Could you tell me what was wrong with you? What was healed?
It was my left hip, and there's a metal that had to be replaced and put in my left hip. I broke it when I was in Scotland, and I still have the hip that's in my left side.
Right. So you fell down while you were in Scotland, and you had a serious injury, and you broke your hip. And how long were you in Scotland? Were you in the hospital a long time, or what happened?
I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and they were very good to me there. And I came home after 2 weeks, and I had to continue to go to a doctor for a checkup every once in a while. But the pain was there. And up until 2 weeks ago, I've had the pain.
You had pain in your leg ever since you had the hip replacement, and you also spent most of your time when you walked with a cane, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And so a couple of weeks ago, I took you to the church. It's called Passion Church, and it was a healing service on a Friday night. Could you tell me what was your experience at the church?
Well, my son had gone down for a prayer, and I followed because I wanted to get a prayer too. And when they got through with the prayer with my son, then the gentleman, his name was Ed, looked at me and he said, "We want to give you a good prayer too now." And he said, "Was that all right?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he did give me a good prayer. And then when he got through and said, "Amen," he wanted to know how I felt. And I said, "Well, I'm feeling okay, but I think I'd like to walk down the aisle here and just check it." And so I did, and I didn't take my cane. I walked without the cane, so I would know whether I had any feeling without the cane. And I didn't, and it really...
You didn't have any pain?
I didn't have any pain, and it surprised me. And when I got back to the gentleman and my son, they asked me how I was, and I said, "Well, I'm okay." But I have another little incident that I want to show you. And I went squatted up and down, and my son had his mouth open. He couldn't believe it because I didn't have a cane. He said, "You don't have a cane, Mom?" And I said, "No, and I hope I don't have to have it."
So that squatting up and down, that was something that you really couldn't have done before you had your healing, is that right?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And it's been more than 2 weeks now since you received that healing. How has your leg been since then? Are you still walking with a cane? Do you still feel pain, or what?
No, the pain is gone, and I haven't had to use the cane. I thank God for all that He's done for me, and I thank my son and his friend at the church and the pastor, and I thank God every day and every night and maybe every other hour
I understand that you've been telling quite a few people about this healing too. Could you tell me a few of the people and what the situations have been, just really briefly?
Yes, I've told most every friend that I have, and they all say, that's wonderful, that's wonderful. And even my doctor, I told him, and he said, well, that's really great. That's wonderful. And I have to keep thanking God for my blessings.
Thank you so much for telling your story. It's really a beautiful story.
You're welcome.
What God did for my mother, He'll do for you. He'll do it for your family. He'll do it for your friends. He'll do it for your neighbors. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. God promises healing to those who believe, and God keeps His promises. Healing is for you.